You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 240. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I am Spencer Valdez. Totally normal, completely just human Spencer Valdez.
Okay. Do you listen to all the ones that Jeff does?
I've tried.
He's done... Now I'm writing a lot of those for him.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah. Because he would come out with some ones that were just totally lame, like totally flat, just like splat, like no good. And so I'm like, no. We gotta. I'm writing some good ones for him now.
Good.
But anyway, Comic Reflections is brought to you by The Outhouse. You can find our show and other nifty content at theouthousers.com. And if you enjoy this program, please subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher.
You can also rate and review us on both of those
Platforms.
Fine websites.
Platforms.
Platforms.
Yes. And that would help us out immensely. But anyway, Spencer...
That sounded like a dig. I didn't mean it to sound like a dig on Jeff at all.
I did.
Okay.
No. Look, Jeff is my friend.
Yeah.
But he's from North Carolina. He's a cranky old curmudgeon who hates everything. But then surprisingly likes things like... He loved Lady Cop. Which I do too, but I expected him to hate it.
Right.
And you hated it.
I hated it. Everyone should hate it.
No, it's fine. I was listening to a podcast today that was singing the praises of Lady Cop.
Really?
Yes. It was on the Fire and Water podcast, the Aquaman and Firestorm.
Okay.
And they just decided they wanted to talk about Lady Cop.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And Noah and my friend Hub from Traveling Through the Bronze Age and Teen Titans Wasteland. Uh-huh. He's a host of both of those podcasts. He is also a big fan of Lady Cop. He's told me he bought several copies of that to give to people.
Maybe I'm just wrong.
Maybe you are. Maybe you missed the crazy kitsch factor of it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to enjoy it for how nuts that comic is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But
I know you're looking for quality all the time, and sometimes with the enjoyableness, what makes a comic enjoyable is the craziness.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can agree with you.
Because, hello, we read DC Comics.
Right.
So anyway, segue. We shouldn't have segues at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
It's really terrible. All right, we're going to continue our coverage of Supervillain Team Up.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Remember that? So, anyway.
It has been a while since we've done this.
I know, the stupid holidays of...
Yeah, family.
God, thanks a lot, Jesus.
Jesus?
Well, okay, he didn't have anything to do with Thanksgiving, did he?
I don't think so.
I hope not.
Manifest Destiny.
Oh, gosh.
But...
When are you going to let that go? Spencer's a Native American. Of course, Manifest Destiny is super bad.
Right.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, it was terrible.
Okay. Trail of Tears. Oh, more like a barrel of laughs. No. Terrible. Okay. But anyway, we're going to talk about the Avengers. We'll start with we should just do this over, but we're not. The Avengers number 156. We've had this Supervillain Team Up Avengers crossover that's been happening. Anyway, cover dated, I said Avengers 156, cover dated February of 1977. Cover art penciled by Jack Kirby and inked by Al Milgrom. Now, Milgrom isn't typically someone we think of or gets brought up a lot as a Kirby inker. And Kirby's just doing the cover here. But Milgrom's penciling style is very reminiscent of Kirby. See the original run of Firestorm, the Nuclear Man, for example. Very reminiscent of Kirby. So him inking Kirby it's an excellent choice, and it's a great cover. The Avengers in battle with Doctor Doom. It's very dynamic.
It's very complimentary.
Yes, their styles definitely complement each other quite well. And the story in this issue, anyway, is called The Private War of Doctor Doom. The story was plotted by Jerry Conway, but then the script was written by Jim Shooter. And the pencil breakdowns are by Sal Buscema. And then the finished pencils and inks are by Pablo Marcos.
Okay. So this here says artists, Sal Buscema, Pablo Marcos, storytellers. What is that? Did they have something to do with the script? Or
no, but remember the Marvel method. You get a rough plot, which would have been provided by Jerry Conway in this instance, working Marvel style. The storytellers, the artists take that rough plot. They do all the stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Sal did the breakdowns. Pablo did the finishes. The finished pencils and the inks.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Basically, how that Marvel method works is you get the story with the basic plot points, all the story beats, and they tell the artist, go nuts, make sure these things happen, and do whatever you want and fill the 22 pages or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then the writer,
Jim Shooter,
in this instance, is going to go back and dialogue and do all the captions and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Okay. So we're on the same page now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
What's happening?
So we pick up right where we left off.
In the previous issue of Avengers or Supervillain Team Up, I don't recall.
Yeah. Where the Vision has kind of found Doom.
Yeah.
And has, like, approached him. Not in an aggressive manner, but in a way to, like, let him know, like, what is happening kind of, like, right underneath his nose that he doesn't see.
Right. Well, Doom's been out of it. Didn't he go? He was at Hydra Base.
He's at Hydra Base. He's been very distracted.
Right.
And so he
had a very hard day.
He kind of needs. I think he has an idea of what's going on.
Okay.
But I think he needs the Vision to give him a reminder of what all is happening. And it just so happens we get a recap.
Of course, it's good.
Yeah.
Do it. Hit us with the recap.
So at this instance, Doom is pointing a gun in the face of Vision. He tells him, "Hey, this is what's going on. The Avengers have been taken hostage by Atuma. He's made them fight for them. You have them captive. You need to release them so we can all work together to take on Atuma. Because if Atuma gets what he wants, and he gets all the people of Atlantis and all the clones or whatever."
Oh, because he's going to want. Does this have to do with
the world?
Yeah.
And so the Vision uses some language and says, "Look, you might be the last to fall, but fall you will."
Ooh.
And like Doom's like, "Well, we can't let that happen." And so he eventually releases the Avengers, but at the same time, the Wizard and Wonder Man have knocked out Namor.
Yeah.
So they're kind of reviving him, like, hey, hold on, no, he knows me. We're buddies here. Namor and I, Wizard, are saying this. We're buddies. You didn't need to knock him out,
right?
Man. We need to work together because Atuma is getting out of control. Doom's a threat. There's just so many threats that these guys are just a little overwhelmed.
It's kind of crazy,
And I will say this plot line is fairly convoluted. With how many different stories are happening all at once.
Yeah.
You have the Atuma line, you have the Namor line, you have the Doom line, which are connected.
You have the Conga line. No, I'm kidding.
You have the Avengers line, you have the Vision, Scarlet Witch kind of love triangle, like, not really love triangle.
You mean there's a lot of plot threads are going on here.
Yeah. And you have to, like, be able to follow them across issues. That's kind of rough for a comic where if it's someone's first issue,
there's a lot to come in on.
Right.
I gotcha.
You have these two books that are fairly convoluted, and it's not really fair to the reader a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a different kind of convolution than you get with like a DC book.
Right.
It just
makes sense.
This is many plot threads about character.
Mm-hmm.
DC convolution is plot about
plot.
Well, yeah, it's convolution in plot, in action, or the things going on.
Yeah.
And those things get to be very tedious. This is just you have to keep track of how relationships work.
Right.
So this has a lot more depth, I think.
Right. I would say that in this there are two main plots. The Atuma, I guess three. Atuma taking over the world.
Yeah. Which will never happen.
Right. Doom wanting Namor to join him so they could take over.
Yeah.
And then,
the Avengers wanted to stop any world takeovers.
Right. And the Shroud, Prince Rodolfo.
That's another subplot.
Yeah.
Because think about it, these are two ongoing books. Both have their A plot and their B plots already. Now we have crossed the streams.
Yeah.
You never cross the streams.
Because now you have 6 or 7 plots here, and it's a little confusing.
It's a bit daunting
to
keep track of. Especially when we're coming back after like 3 weeks without recording.
Yeah. So
Man.
the Wizard, Wonder Man, and
Are the
Namor-
Avengers rescued from Atsuma already? Or
Yes, they
okay.
are.
Okay.
They have been rescued. The Wizard, Wonder Man, and Namor join forces,
Yeah.
and they get this signal from the Beast.
Yeah.
And the Beast is like hiding out on Atuma's like ship.
Oh, I love
He's
that.
like just like hiding in a corner. He's like, yeah, guys, shut up! I'm here, you know. And so they get the radio, like the transmission, and they take off after Atuma.
Now, many people believe that Hank McCoy is at his most interesting. He's more interesting as an Avenger than he is an X-Man. I am one of those people.
I found him funny in this.
Yeah, this is
like
the furry blue 1970s Avenger Beast is awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I like
the
it. I mean,
peak that character has been. Because otherwise he is, in his Silver Age incarnation, he is the mutant version of Big Words from the Newsboy Legion.
Okay.
And in the 80s, he's a sad sack.
Right.
Yeah. Like once he's been X Factor and then going forward in the X-Men, it's bummer time.
Right.
This is the really the best time for this character.
I will say at the beginning of this, he like confused me and kind of annoyed me because he like ran and hid.
Yeah, but there was a reason.
It was for a reason.
Just like when the Vision bailed on everybody,
right.
It was for a reason.
Right.
So.
And we get a bit of an explanation for why he just left without everyone.
Right.
He explains to, I guess he's not really explaining to Namor, he's kind of explaining to us.
Yeah.
That if he let everyone out, they would have jumped on their emotions and attacked Doom.
Right.
But since he has no emotion...
Well, he is in control of his emotions.
So...
Remember, he's in a relationship with Wanda.
I will say that...
He's very cool
while
in this story.
It might seem like it. He is kind of brooding here. It says... Oh,
the Vision broods and the Vision emotes. Yeah. This is a character with a lot of nuance and a lot of depth.
The Vision knows that he released his fellow heroes.
If he
had released, their emotions likely would have led them to attack Doom. Emotion, something alien to this synthezoid mind.
Alien does not mean he is bereft of them.
Okay. And yet does not feel love for Wanda. So we have that kind of subplot as well, the whole... Is he really in love with Wanda, or are the memories from which were implanted upon him?
Well, he has the brain patterns of Simon Williams.
Right.
And he is one of the original Human Torch's original bodies.
Right.
He's in one of those.
Yeah. And so, are those emotions for her real, or are they just built into...
Right.
Like, subroutines?
But see,
you know,
this is struggling with identity, just like a person.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah. And
Go Marvel Comics.
We have like an 8th subplot. We have the brooding Vision while he's like doing things. I kind of like that because I feel like, at least with DC a little bit, you either brood or you do something.
And I like this. You're thinking about that stuff while you're doing your job, like a real person.
You're right. Yeah. I don't get to sit in my corner of my house just like pondering.
Well, that's the thing with
DC
Comics characters, and I'll get off this and we'll get back to the story real quick. DC Comics are these icons with no problems. They go and solve other people's problems, like crimes and stuff. But their biggest problem is keeping their secret identity.
Yeah.
Which they find all kinds of convoluted and ridiculous ways to keep them.
Yeah.
But they do it.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So, yes, the Namor, Wizard, and Wonder Man take off after Atuma, following the Beast. And the Avengers are all released. They're all kind of happy. And Wanda, he's like, hey, Vision, thanks. And he's really, kind of cold to her.
He's very brusque.
Yeah.
And that's kind of...
That's
pretty cold-blooded, because that's his lady.
Right. Doom and they start kind of plotting their next steps and things.
Yeah.
And so we kind of shift over to Atuma's ship with a Beast on it, and he's discovered, and he's kind of dragged before Atuma, and they will show him a slow death that will provide us some sport.
Jeez!
Yeah. This actually sets Namor off because he realizes they're not in contact with the Beast anymore.
Yeah.
And so Namor jumps out of their ship, dives into the ocean, and takes off after Atuma.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Namor's a dick, but he's not a torturer.
Right, yeah. Or Nazi.
Correct.
So Namor takes off to Atlantis. It might not be Atlantis. It might be Hydra Base. But again, he's attacked by Tyrak.
Oh, yeah,
Tyrak
that guy.
attacks him again.
Tyrak with the Bootsy Collins shades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Namor is defeated for kind of a moment. But Wonder Man sees the Beast being kind of like dragged off. And then we jump again to the Avengers. And who are they talking with? Oh, they're talking with the Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
The Wizard, like, they kind of see each other, and they see Doctor Doom. And the Wizard's like, what? And he, like, takes off after Wonder Man.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. They see each other, and all of them take off after Wonder Man.
Yeah.
The Avengers kind of come in, kick the butt of everyone.
Yay!
Tyrak included.
Good.
Tyrak is bigger and badder in this for some reason. He's more beefed up. And we get
Because
this awesome...
Pablo Marcos drew him differently than George Perez did.
Ah, right.
You know,
we get this.
You're going to get a little variance there.
Right. We get this awesome swipe away at Cap where he's just like flying back because of Tyrak. But they finally like are able to stagger him a bit, and Wonder Man and the Wizard give him. Oh no, it might be Cap. I can't tell.
Here, give it to
I
me.
think it's Cap.
Try the Vision.
Oh, that's the Vision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Just wallop him, Tyrak. Yeah. And so they're down. They have to help the Beast, but I don't think they find him.
Okay.
Oh, no, they do. Beast is fine. But Doom has kind of slipped away in the midst of the fighting.
Okay.
And he finds this weapon of some sort. And the two, I forgot their names. Namora?
I think it was Namor and Namorita, I think.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You're right. They approach him and they're like, hey, you can't take that weapon. And he just lays them out. Just smacks both of them.
Keeps his pimp hand strong.
Yeah.
Who does? Doom?
Doom.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of as he's like carting it away, all the Avengers show up with Wonder Man and Wizard and the Beast. And they're all back together.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, Doom. And the Vision actually kind of sneaks in behind.
Yeah.
And like ghost hands the insides of the weapon.
Yeah. He phases into
it. Yeah.
And he'll disrupt machinery by doing so.
Destroys it.
Yeah.
Doom gets angry and he flies away. Like, as like regal as you can flying away.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Well, that's kind of his way, you know.
And we get this kind of side panel almost. It's like kind of squashed between two like important panels. And it's Cap saying, right, I wonder, right here, Wonder Man, just stepped out for a minute. He kind of went out to the balcony, and he's like, I got something I need to investigate. And what happens is in Avengers 157...
Yeah, which we don't have reprinted in this book.
Right.
As a subplot, Cap decides to pursue that ship or whatever.
What he was investigating.
Yeah.
So we don't know what he was investigating. It turns out it was a ship, and it was kind of like watching over what was going on.
Okay.
And he ends up breaking a piece off of it, which will be revealed in the next issue of Supervillain Team Up.
Okay. Yeah, and that Avengers 157 isn't reprinted in this book because that's just a subplot. Mm-hmm. The main plot has nothing to do with this, of that issue, so I understand why they did that. But anyway, let's move on to Supervillain Team Up number 10, cover dated February of 1977, so the same month as Avengers 156. Mm-hmm. That's cool. They're both on the same sands at the same time.
That's nice.
Yeah. Cover art, penciled by Gil Kane, inked by Ernie Chan, and yes, with some alterations by John Romita, Sr. And let's talk about this cover. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Captain America fighting Dr. Doom with the Red Skull
in the palm.
In the foreground, and Red Skull's huge figure
Right.
In the background, and they're fighting like in the palm of his hands, which is a great image.
Yeah.
Anytime the Red Skull shows up, I'm so happy.
The world's mightiest master of menace. That's fun alliteration.
I like that. It's fun. Marvel is big on alliteration.
Right.
But Jeff and I are doing the Silver Age Captain America right now,
Uh-huh.
and so hardly an episode goes by where the Red Skull isn't around.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Nice.
it'll be not as much here lately, but or coming up. But the Red Skull's on pretty often, which is great. But what were you gonna say?
I mean, it's just surprising me how much he would show up if he's such a huge villain.
Well, the thing is, we're going through the Tales of Suspense issues,
Right.
where he's only half of a comic. Cap is. It's like 10 or 11 pages, and that's serialized over a bunch of times. So we're reading like 8 Cap stories per episode.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, there'll be like half of it where like the Skull ends up showing up in at least part of a big stretch of that.
Right.
We're almost finished with the Tales of Suspense run, so that's going to change. But
okay.
But anyway, the story in this issue is called "The Sign of the Skull."
Right.
Written by Bill Mantlo, penciled by Bob Hall, and inked by Don Perlin.
Yeah.
So this is a fun issue.
Yeah.
They all are, but yeah.
So we kind of get the conclusion of where Cap went.
Right.
In this
Where
issue.
did he go?
He ends up in the Latvian embassy.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he's kind of stalking around, and he has this kind of staff-looking thing in his hand, and it turns out, well, he's going through the embassy.
Yeah.
And there's all these like triggered traps that he has to kind of get by. Sorry, we also get a recap of what we just.
There are booby traps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Triggered traps.
Well, there are triggered.
Well, yeah, but
Triggers them.
you trigger booby traps.
But as he gets through, he finally comes to kind of like the throne room, and Doom is like, "Oh, hey there. That was just a little amusement of mine.
Yeah.
Would you like some wine while we talk, or is this strictly business?"
Right.
And Cap is like, "Hey, seems like we came out on top, though." Yeah. So they start talking, and he says, "I thought you were behind this. It turns out someone even more wicked." And he hands Doom the staff, and on it is the swastika with the Red Skull's face on it.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. By my sainted mother, it shall not. Oh, sorry. Basically,
Doom says that.
Yeah. Basically saying he's been working in the shadows again. He's going to try to take over Latveria again. That happened earlier in this.
Who, the Red Skull?
The Red Skull.
That happened earlier in this volume. That happened in the Astonishing Tales issues early on.
And so it's jumping back a ways.
Yeah.
But it's happening again.
Yeah.
And so they actually...
the Red Skull, didn't learn his lesson.
Right.
But, of course he didn't.
Right.
But also, he knows Dr. Doom has the best toys.
Yeah.
And
no, it's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So we jump over to... So that was Chapter 1 in this issue, which is called the Sign of the Red Skull. Chapter 2 is called While Atlantis Sleeps.
Yeah, so we cut in on Namor.
Yeah, and he's swimming down to Atlantis, and he goes past all of the Atlanteans in stasis.
I think they're dead.
Oh, are they? I thought they were in stasis.
I think these ones are dead. They went into stasis and died because this equipment that was supporting them failed.
Oh dear.
I think.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not really going to affect the rest of the story so much.
No, it's not.
Okay.
But it makes him angry because he hears rumbling and he kind of feels it, and so he swims farther and he finds this giant mining device. And I'm not quite sure what they're mining for, but they are scared when they see him.
Right.
Because they start there's intercom chatter between each other. And they're saying, "Hey, he wasn't supposed to be here. Yeah, the Orbiter said he was out fighting in Tuma."
Now, the Orbiter is the boss of these undersea miners.
Right.
But that's just a kind of a coded speech.
Right.
The Orbiter is the Red Skull.
Yeah. So, Namor, it's really cool. Namor tosses the, giant, I think it's a 30-ton sea dozer.
Right.
Like it's a toy. And he says it's the metal toy. and like throws it across the ocean floor.
Yeah. Well, remember,
it's pretty
Namor has
great.
the strength of 1,000 men.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know.
But it's still cool.
Yeah, no, it's super cool.
And then he uses they have like a tank looking one, and he grabs the like barrel of it and just like swings it at dudes.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I love crap like that.
And so he like grabs one and threatens to break the helmet of them and watch as the water fills your fragile lungs. Ugh. But he gets the information out of him, like who's doing this. We got paid by the Orbiter. He asked us to do it. Where he says we go, like all this stuff. So he knows that it's not just some dudes mining in the middle of Atlantis.
Right.
It was planned.
Yes.
Right. So from here we jump to Latveria.
Yeah.
With
the Shroud and Rodolfo posing as Dr. Doom, which is one of the dumbest things in the world that you can do.
Right. But I think some people have kind of figured it out, and they're kind of like on the run.
The Shroud and Rodolfo.
Yeah. So they finally make it to... They kind of fight some people, and they make it to the...
Doom's throne room, I guess.
Yeah, the throne room, and the chair spins, and a blast, and Doom... and
comes around.
Not Doom. Rodolfo...
is killed by the Red Skull.
By the Red Skull. Like, that's the... We actually don't find that out yet.
Yeah, that's the dramatic...
Yeah.
It can't. How can you call it the dramatic reveal on the last page when he was on the cover?
Right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So at the very last panel is the Red Skull, like, I gotcha.
Yeah, because he talks just like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right. He's a Nazi. He's supposed to sound stupid.
Or German.
Well. So that's the last panel. There are a couple more things that happen.
Okay.
So while all this is happening, Doom and Captain America are flying to Latveria in one of Doom's jets.
Which is awesome.
And out of nowhere, Latverian planes come to take drones, come to take down the jet.
Right, and Cap and Doom kind of crash land together.
Right.
Which is really awesome.
Yeah. And that's when we get the reveal of Red Skull.
Yeah. Yeah. So, pretty bitchin'.
Yeah. Pretty excited.
Moving on to the next issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be the last one we'll talk about today. Oh, sad. But this will be Supervillain Team Up number 11. Cover dated April of 1977. Cover art penciled by Dave Cockrum of Legion of Superheroes and X-Men fame. Right. And the Futurians. You know, but that's kind of more of a cult book. But anyway, and inked by Joe Sinnott, who, of course, needs no introduction.
Right.
But it's a great cover.
Oh, it's the cover. Okay.
Yeah. Great cover with Doom and the Red Skull grappling with each other. Of course, also the Shroud and Captain America and Namor are also present on the cover. Right. So it's great.
Yeah. On the cover, Cap was stopping the Shroud from shooting Dr. Doom.
Yeah. Because he's still...
that plot line.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. But anyway, this story in this issue is called My Ally, My Enemy. Mm-hmm. And it was written by Bill Mantlo, penciled by Bob Hall, and inked by Don Perlin.
Yeah, so this is chapter 3 of the Red Skull entrance into the storyline. Re-entrance into the storyline. We're still in the throne room.
Yeah.
And Red Skull starts to kind of break down his plan. Like all good villains do, you know.
Yeah. He's got to stop and tell you all the details of his plan.
Right. He lets the Shroud know that he's just killed Captain America and Doom, and
which is a lie.
He has this hypno ray that he's going to use on everyone, so he can take over. It's being assembled in space right now. Rodolfo is dying at this point. He's not dead yet. He still has an eye open. He's dying. Cap and Doom hop out of the plane. They weren't actually killed in the
stuff.
It was hit by a... It wasn't... They weren't taken down by the Jones. They were taken down by Red Skull using a thing that Doom has, a weapon that he has, and it actually miniaturizes them. And
Right.
so they come across this like giant snake, but it's actually like a normal sized snake, and they have to fight the snake.
Oh,
And-
see, no, the skull. Wait a sec. Remember when Doctor Doom hypnotized the Red Skull and then think he was shrunk?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But now the skull has actually shrunk Cap and Doom.
Right. Yeah. They come across like a not a huge chasm, but for them it's enormous.
Yeah.
There's water, like it's gonna get flooded, but and so like Cap's being like overwashed or washed over,
Yeah.
and just as this is happening, Namor flies in. And
Yay!
he starts laying into people, like all the
Henchmen and stuff.
henchmen, yeah. And he comes face to face with Red Skull. Red Skull then starts to like try to recruit Namor
Mm-hmm.
the way that kind of Doom did. But the Shroud like yells like no, you can't do this. You got to help us. And Namor decides to help them rather than Red Skull, because why would Namor help Red Skull? He fought against him for how long? Because he was part of the Invaders.
Yeah.
Like, he
Since-
would never join Red Skull.
Yeah, no way. There are certain alliances that will never be forged.
Right.
Namor and the Red Skull is one of them.
Uh-huh.
Like who teams up with the Red Skull? Nobody.
No one. Not even the Joker.
Yes, there is that story. Well, it did happen, but
Well, he didn't realize he was a Nazi.
yeah.
And then when he did, he beat him up.
Yeah, that's in John Byrne's Captain America and Batman. I want to read that so bad.
I have. It's so much fun.
Is it?
Yeah.
One limited series you need to read. Actually, it's a series of 3 limited series. Is John Byrne's Batman and Superman Generations.
Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it?
It's in Elseworlds,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's telling about, like I guess it's told kind of in pre-crisis imaginary story type of stuff over decades with Batman and Superman.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
It's awesome.
Wow.
So anyway.
So while Namor's deciding whether he's going to join Red Skull or not, Doom rescues Cap from drowning.
Yeah.
And they kind of cross like a cell, and they hear some like people like complaining about Rodolfo.
Okay.
And they finally get to the throne room, and they're like Doom like shoots Red Skull with his power beam thing,
Yeah.
but like in the foot, and so it doesn't like he's miniaturized, so it doesn't do much.
Right.
Cap and them start fighting. Namor actually grabs. Oh no, sorry, not Namor. It looked like Namor did it. It was actually Red Skull. Red Skull grabs Doom.
Yeah.
And like, if there's anything you don't do to Doctor Doom,
Just lay a hand on him.
is lay a hand on him, let alone pick him up like a little doll. And, like,
Yeah.
grab him. And so Namor like shouts a threat to Red Skull, and Red Skull says, "I'll kill you." And Namor says, "So be it." And he kind of flips a switch as he's being shot by Red Skull, which grows. Doom and Cap go back to their original size.
Okay.
And they start fighting with Red Skull. Namor starts like taking out guys 2 at a time, like by the scruff of their necks.
Which is
Like, it's
awesome.
Nothing. Doom like slams the Red Skull's head against the floor.
Man.
Gets kicked back. Awesome fight. But then the Shroud like jumps up and starts trying to attack Doom, and so Cap has to jump in and fight the Shroud and let him know that, like, dude, yeah, I know it sucks that you want Doom dead, but he's fighting the Red Skull, and this is how we're gonna win.
Okay.
We're on the same side. Shroud doesn't like that. Red Skull is backed into a corner, backed into the throne.
Yeah.
He flips a switch, and the dome comes over him,
Okay.
and he's protected from everyone he was fighting.
Nice.
While still dying, Rodolfo's like going for like.
Oh, he wasn't dead. Totally dead.
No, he's
Oh.
been dying this whole time.
Oh, okay.
He grabs this remote, and before Red Skull can activate the Hypno Ray, he uses the remote, and it sends Red Skull off into space.
Oh man.
But unfortunately for them, Red Skull just ends up closer to his Hypno Ray. he's gonna like still be able to use it.
Okay.
So Rodolfo dies.
Okay.
I guess. I mean,
I
we don't
think.
see him again. Oh yeah, This is unfortunate. We got to help him, Doom, and he's dying. But our first concern is finding the skull. So maybe he doesn't die.
Maybe not. I don't know. I thought he was dead. I forgot.
I don't know why Doom would let him live.
Right?
He's,
He doesn't need him for anything. There's no use for him, and this guy is one to take over his country.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I mean, Doom took it from him.
but Doom overthrew it for revenge for his parents' deaths and stuff, and that's the show.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll have more of this in 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Next week we'll begin Showcase Presents Green Lantern Volume 4.
Yeah.
Yes. Comic Reflections is recorded in Portland, Oregon, and produced by Sean Roof.
He's the worst.
Until next time.
Peace.